Okay, this video is called the Spartan Vegan Food Pyramid. I've got previous videos about the Spartan Vegan diet, which is really sort of my diet that I recommend, the Rogers diet. It's very simple, similar to the McDougall diet and the Esselstyn diet. So this is sort of the logo, and it kind of goes with my background of being a wrestler and being very sort of much of a minimalist. Keep things simple, you save a lot of money, and it's convenient, and it's fast. Okay, here's just like a sample foods. You can eat a more wider variety than these, but this is just basically what it's about. Some raw fruits, raw veggies. I like blueberries. I think they're probably the best fruit because they taste good, but they're not super sweet. You know, bananas, you got to clean your teeth off real fast. Let's see, you know, watermelon, there's a lot of good fruits. Papaya, raw veggies. I most commonly will have salads. I don't especially like chewing on carrots, even though I like the carrots. I'm a little concerned that if you chew on hard foods, are you going to maybe, you know, I do have some dental amalgams. Am I maybe going to break off more amalgam into my, go into my blood potentially? So that's why I don't chew hard foods. That's why I don't brush my teeth over them with a toothbrush. Boil water for starches. This is all easy to cook. All you do is boil water for potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, beans, oatmeal, quinoa. These are all super low in fat. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, and rice are all 1% fat. Beans are kind of convenient, and you know, I have some people who cook for me, and they like making beans, so I'm happy to eat them. But you know, if I was a free man, I didn't have to work, and I was more routine, because I usually eat OMAD diet for convenience once at night, one meal a day at night. The beans are kind of convenient. They provide prolonged satiety, but they are pretty high in protein, on average about 25-30%. Okay, it's 100% organic. I do that to avoid the herbicides and pesticides. Zero processed food, none, not one drop of it, not one bite of it. I don't eat any of this junk food because, you know, I see too many sick people. I don't want anything bad for me. I avoid caffeine too, all this high-fat stuff. I think high-fat veganism is bogus. I think it's a trick to just trick all the chumps into becoming fat and sick, because you know, you got to remember there's billions of dollars at stake. Okay, if everybody was a low-fat vegan, you know, the hospitals would go bankrupt. So luckily for the hospitals and the financial system, the average person wants to eat high-fat foods, and they're going to be easily tricked into doing it. So I think that aspect of the economy is okay. What's nice about this Spartan Vegan type diet, easy to cook. I'm going to show you a picture of a pyramid. That's kind of the whole point of this talk, but I'm just giving you a little intro to it. Super easy to cook, super easy to clean up, it's fast. If you want fancier meals, there's other YouTube channels about stuff like that, like somebody like Chef AJ. She'll know every little nuance and spice. You know, I'm real simple. I'm kind of like Pritikin. I don't care about fancy stuff. I love the taste of the food. Okay, here's a quick chart showing basically if you eat an American diet, standard American diet, your health is screwed. You're screwed after 50, if not sooner. The high saturated fat is going to predispose you to a lot of atherosclerosis. So the men tend to become impotent. You know, 50% are impotent by 50 years of age. Lots of myocardial infarction, cancer, and progressive cognitive slowing. A lot of dementia. I think the dementia part of the slide was knocked off of here. The East Asians, like the Japanese, Koreans, Chinese, they eat tons of white rice, but especially Japan, they used to screw up because they were smoking way too many cigarettes and having really high sodium, so they had high incidence of stroke. But their fruits and vegetables protected them. So despite a lot of smoking and all this sodium, they really didn't have much diabetes or anything. So the fruits and vegetables are very protective, and it's really low fat. The rice is only 1% fat, and it's also pretty low in protein. In general, white rice is in a ballpark of about 7%. Some, you know, Kempner diet guy, Nealon, claimed that the rice they were feeding the patients was 5% fat. I've seen numbers for white rice protein content anywhere from 5 to 8.5%, so I'll just call it 7 on average. That seemed to be about the average when I looked at a bunch of different examples of it. South Asian is more like persons from India. And persons from India, you know, I usually think of them being skinny, healthy vegetarians, but I think the thing that gets persons from India in trouble is they eat a lot of fried foods. Many of them do. They eat some saturated fat from the ghee, like butter stuff, but they often eat a lot of fried food, and that's what gives them surprisingly high medical problems, despite being otherwise healthy and often being rather thin. Okay, so if they quit the fried food, I think they'll be much, much better off in their health. Low fat, low sodium vegan. So this is basically the Spartan Vegan diet, and it's very much like McDougall and Esselstyn diet. I think the big difference would be I only eat organic. That's probably the biggest difference. Let's see, what else? So basically, they don't get these diseases. They don't get diabetes. They don't get hypertension. They don't get myocardial infarctions. Hardly ever stroke. Much less likely to become impotent or have cancer. So, I mean, this is what you want. You know, some people say, oh, well, don't you feel limited? You're missing out on life, eating kind of a sparse diet. And I'm like, no. I thank God for it. I'm so grateful. There's a way to have a great chance of escaping all these terrible diseases. Almost everybody dies from the same stuff. It's like 95% of the patients I look at demented brains, they're diabetic and hypertensive, okay? When you tell me an American patient over 50, it's a pretty much safe bet the guy's going to be hypertensive and he's probably at least pre-diabetic. He's probably got a fatty liver. I see this stuff all day long every day because people sometimes ask me about all these rare diseases. Well, would you be worried about some rare disease? I go, nope. I worry about diabetes, hypertension, myocardial infarction, stroke, impotence, cancer. These happen all day long, every day. And they all go together. They're all linked to each other, and they're all usually relatively easy to avoid. Cancer is a little more unpredictable. You can still dramatically lower your incidence with this routine. Okay, finally, we're at the pyramid. So here's what we've all been waiting for, the Spartan Vegan Pyramid of Health. And by the way, I would recommend, compare this to some other pyramids. You will laugh. Look at the Harvard diet, which is sort of a variation of the Mediterranean diet. It's totally stupid. It's a joke, okay? They're going to have olive oil and all this other crap at the bottom. Don't trust them. You could never get good health information out of the big universities. And the reason's obvious. In order for a university doctor to get promoted, they got to get some grant money. In general, this is true. And in order to get grant money, it's going to come from Big Pharma. And if it's going to come from Big Pharma or some big supplement company, or processed food company, they're going to have to say that processed food and supplements and all this other crap is good. So they're going to have to do that. Otherwise, they won't get promoted. They won't keep their jobs. So that's why nothing ever comes from those places as far as nutrition is concerned. You'll notice it always comes from somebody who's got an independent place or works in podunk, like Dr. McDougall, for example, all right? Or me. I just do this as a hobby. I don't make 10 cents from this. Okay, but I love it because this is how you really save people's lives. The vast majority of disease is due to problems with diet and toxicology. That's at least 70% of disease. And doctors don't learn about it. I didn't know any of this stuff. It was when I got fat in my 30s and had to lose all the weight, I started reading all this stuff. So anyways, I put these social things at the bottom, and sunshine and sleep and religion. They all make you a lot healthier. Sort of a foundation of a happy, healthy life. Starches should be the majority of your calories. Dr. McDougall would recommend in the ballpark of like 80-90% of your calories from starches. I'm more in that ballpark of around 60 to 80%. I like to eat more fruits, but fruits are a little bit of a pain in the butt. They're more expensive. They don't store as long in general, other than the frozen ones. I like the frozen ones. The reason why I like, let's say, a frozen blueberry, because then they're not going to need to spray anything on it. They can just real quick stick it in the freezer, versus if it's going to be sitting on the refrigerator shelf in the store for a long time, they'll typically spray something on it. And I know that because if I eat store-bought berries that are not in a freezer, I'll often get a little bit of diarrhea afterwards, and I'm like pretty sure that's because they're spraying something on them. So that's why I don't like those. There's lots of good fruits. Bananas, oranges are just some examples of good ones. Papaya, watermelon, etc. Veggies, I usually like salads, but of course there's other good veggies, and you'll end up having to take a B12 probably if you're a long time vegetarian. Try to keep your levels, I don't know, between like 500 to 1,000 or something like that. So anyways, that's the Spartan Vegan Pyramid. Hope that was helpful.